The storm outside mirrored the one inside Commander Elise Warren's heart. Her name carried weight in every naval corridor, precise, unshakable, the kind of officer who never faltered. But when the office door closed behind her at night, silence filled the room like a wound that refused to heal. She had medals, ranks, and respect, but no family, no one waiting for her when she came home. At least that's what she believed. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. It was a cold January morning when two men in dark suits arrived at the base. They weren't Navy, that much was clear. They carried the quiet authority of people used to classified corridors, federal agents sent from somewhere higher, quieter, and more dangerous. They asked for her by name. "Commander Warren," one of them said, his voice steady but careful. "We need to speak with you. It's about your family." Her hand froze midair. The word family felt foreign, like a language she hadn't spoken in decades. "I don't have one," she replied, her tone clipped professional, but the agents didn't move. Instead, they exchanged a look that carried a different truth. "Ma'am," the taller one said softly, "we think you do." Elise had grown up in foster care, a childhood lost to a blur of shelters, temporary homes, and cold goodbyes. Her earliest memory was of a hospital bracelet with her name and no date of birth. No parents, no siblings, just a name. The Navy had become her anchor, the only place where discipline replaced chaos and order replaced loneliness. But now, standing before two men who claimed she wasn't as alone as she thought, her breath caught. The agents laid a folder on her desk. Inside was a single photo. A boy, maybe 9 years old, with sharp blue eyes that mirrored her own. "This child," one of them said, "was found during an operation overseas. He gave us your name." The room tilted slightly, the edges of reality blurring. "That's impossible," Elise whispered. "I've never had children." "That's what we thought," the agent replied, till we dug into sealed adoption records. "You had a sister, Commander, a twin." Her pulse roared in her ears. The rest came in fragments, an adoption agency that burned down years ago, records lost, identities split. Her twin sister, taken by another family, vanished after a car accident in Turkey during a humanitarian mission. The boy in the photo, her nephew, her sister's son, he'd survived, barely. And when the agents found him in a refugee camp, he'd whispered one name before collapsing into sleep. Elise. Days later, Elise sat in a military transport plane headed for the hospital where the boy was recovering. The hum of the engines couldn't drown out the storm in her chest. Duty had always been her compass. Now her heart pulled her somewhere unfamiliar, toward something she'd long convinced herself she didn't need. When she entered the ward, everything slowed. The boy sat propped up against a white pillow, small hands clutching a toy jet. His eyes met hers, hesitant at first, then wide, searching, almost knowing. "Are you my mom?" he asked, in a fragile voice. She froze, then slowly knelt beside his bed. "No," she said gently, her throat tightening. "But I knew your mother. She was my sister." The boy blinked, tears forming. "She told me you were brave," he whispered. Elise's composure cracked. For years, she believed her strength came from control, from never letting emotion weaken her. But now, as she held the hand of the only family she'd ever known, she realized strength could also mean surrender. The following weeks, she refused to leave his side. She taught him how to fold his hospital blanket like a sailor, told him stories about the sea, about courage, about second chances. The Navy saw a hardened officer soften, but they didn't see weakness. They saw something sacred, humanity. When the boy was strong enough to walk, he saluted her one morning and said, "Commander Aunt Elise, can I be in the Navy too?" Her laugh echoed down the hall. "Can be anything you want, sailor." But beneath that laughter was a silent vow. She would never let him face the kind of loneliness she once did. Months later, the Navy held a ceremony to honor her service. The crowd stood at attention, the flag rippling in the ocean breeze. As her name was called, Elise stepped forward, and beside her, in a small navy blue blazer, stood the boy. When she saluted, he did too. The crowd murmured softly, realizing who he was, the family she'd never had, now standing proudly by her side. And in that moment, she felt something no rank or metal could ever give: belonging. Because sometimes family isn't found in bloodlines or names on a birth certificate. Sometimes it's revealed in the most unexpected mission of all, the mission of the heart. The agents watched from afar, exchanging quiet smiles. They'd seen hundreds of cases, but this one stayed with them, because not every classified file ends with a salute. Some end with a hug. Because truth has a way of finding us even when we've stopped looking, and love doesn't vanish. It waits hidden beneath years of silence until the right moment to surface again. So wherever you're watching from, remember this: no one is ever truly without family. Some just haven't been found yet. If this story touched your heart, give it a like. Share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more stories that remind us what it truly means to belong.